All right, you ready to do this, buddy? All right. Let's go. We are back. Showtime with Golden Tate, and I got one of the true homies. I'm talking about goated in my mind, in his mind, and everyone's mind. We got Brody Jenner, y'all. Bro, it's so good to see you. I wish I could just give you a big hug. Maybe just an air hug real quick. Gosh,
my man.
I miss you. How are you doing out in the island?
Dude, everything's been amazing, man. I've just been focused on family time. I don't know if you can hear that, but there's honey crying somewhere in the house.
Sweet honey.
Yeah, we're just enjoying this family time, over here. So it's been great.
Yeah, so you're ripping waves and just relaxing, recovering from the tough life of Special Forces, world's toughest test.
Yeah, no, we like to spend the winters out here, so it's been nice. We come out here usually around November and spend the winter, and it's nice, man. You get to really focus and take it all in and just be with family. So it's been really nice. Special Forces was wild, as you know.
Yeah, I know the last episode, you look like a hero that you truly are. So that was fun to watch you just at peak performance and watching me at like rock bottom. And we'll get into that, of course. But take me through what's a typical day on the island for you?
Typical day on the island. Wow. I mean, it all depends, man. It all depends on what's in store. If there's waves, we love to get down to the beach, go surfing, whatever. But ultimately, we like to wake up very early. We like to get our circadian rhythm going. We wake up super early. We usually get up. We make honey breakfast, usually some eggs, something like that, a little breakfast. Then we sort of figure out, hey, what would we like to do today? What's on the menu for the day? And it does rain a lot here, so sometimes it's rainy, but we've just been spending really quality family moments down on the beach. We took honey surfing. We go down to the beach. We hang out. I'm able to work on music out here, which is really great. So there's really no distractions. So after we put honey to bed, I'm able to get in the studio and make music and stay productive. And it's just, man, when we're over here, we really just get to sort of put everything down, not be on the phones as much, and just really connect as a family. And it's just with no distractions. So that's always really nice. And it's been really great for us.
God, what a guy, man. You're such a good quality human, man. I'm so proud of you. Man, them babies and wifey probably keep you super busy, and it's always a good busy. We just got back from the Bahamas, so we got a taste of the island life, and man, I've got some core memories of just like waking up early, going fishing, going wake surfing, going on the golf course with the family, going to get tacos, just stuff like that, man. It's just like, man, I hope my kids never grow up. So I can definitely appreciate the time that you're spending out there. I know that you spend some of your time in LA or near LA, and obviously the chaos there with the fires. I'm so sorry to hear about that, and my heart's been with everyone. But I definitely want to check in with you, how you're doing with that. I mean, do you have any homies or family that's been affected? Are they okay? What's it look like moving forward?
I mean, it's just been absolutely devastating for so many. I have tons of friends, too many to count, honestly, that have lost everything. So it's been really tough. I've lived in Malibu my whole life, and unfortunately, fires have just been a part of my life growing up. I've been through so many fires. I've saved my own home countless times growing up from wildfires in Malibu. So definitely no stranger to that. Being in Hawaii, I did feel kind of helpless over here because we're over here. Those things happen so fast. And then once they do happen, there's no way you can even get in, so it's once that, something of that magnitude takes off, it's just, all you can really do is sit back and let the people, the firefighters and all the first responders do what they do best and do their work. So I kind of knew, right when I saw that fire and where it started and the winds and how strong they were, how devastating it was going to be. I kind of was just like, oh man, this is going to be somewhere like, Maui, because the winds were almost 100 miles per hour. It started off right behind the Palisades, the ocean, the ocean breeze or the Santa Anas, blows straight offshore. So it was just all these different things came together in the perfect storm. And it's just really, really unfortunate. And when you read things about the fire hydrants being empty and all these different things, you think like, and you wish we just would have been more prepared. And to be honest, we should have been more prepared. something like that, because it is such a normal thing for us. And, you know, we deal with fires every fire season. And now I feel like there's not even a fire season. You can get Santa Anas all year round. So I think we just, you know, need to learn from this. And when we do rebuild in a way where we're more prepared.
Absolutely, man. It's so disheartening to know like some of this probably could have been prevented with just giving access to water for the firefighters to do their thing. And like you said something interesting, that you've saved numerous houses because it's just a part of your life. Like, what does that look like? Like when you have to save your house, like what's that process like? What are you doing actively?
I mean, I think that, like, you know, from all the years that I've been around fires, first thing you do, or what I would do is what I used to do is hose the house down, you know, get everything wet, just constantly be wetting your entire house, but almost up until the moment the fire comes to your front door. Because usually when the Santa Anas are drying, the wind and everything is so dry that you can hose your house down, you evacuate, you leave, and in a couple hours your house is dry. And when the fire gets to you, there's also spot fires, you know, after the fire does come through, sticking around, making sure you put out trash cans, things that are around near the house that stay on fire after the fire does move through. And ultimately, I think that, you know, you got to stay back and you got to fight. I think that it's, you know, obviously evacuating is necessary, and there's a lot of people, but if you're willing and you're able to stand back and try to fight for your home, you should, because ultimately, you know, you're going to be the one that's going to want to save your house the most. I know that in the Woolsey fire, they told all the firefighters to not worry about structures, to save lives. So there were a lot of homes that were lost that were definitely savable, and mine being one of them. So I stayed back and I fought, and I was able to save my home. And if I wasn't there, for sure would have been gone. So if you can get the proper masks and the proper, you know, things to be able to fight as long as you can until you have to evacuate.
Yeah, man. And thank you so much for sharing that with me. And to transition, although it's always hard to hear about those things, let's move forward to your career, your DJ career. I mean, you've been doing your thing on the ones and twos. I actually bought like a Pioneer set and tried to start figuring out how to do it, but it's just above my head and I can't figure it out. But kind of transitioning, what's the coolest place you've ever performed?
I mean, I feel like you always got to go with the first thing that pops in your head. And I would say Ushuaia in Ibiza was definitely probably the highlight. I always love Vegas. You know, Vegas is always a good time. But, you know, even Bali, played in Bali a few times. That's really fun. Australia. I mean, there's
international Brody.
They're all fun.
Let's go. Now, okay, I mean, you're naming some incredible places that you play that I haven't even been to. What's one place you haven't played that you really want to play at? Well,
you know, I've been DJing probably around close to 13 years at this point. I started out open format, kind of just doing top 40, just going all over the place. That's how I learned. And then ultimately throughout the years, I've always dabbled in producing music, but I normally produce house music. I've always really enjoyed house music, and that's kind of just been a passion of mine. It has been for a really long time, but unfortunately, house wasn't as big as it was now. And back in the day, you know, when we would go play in Vegas, you couldn't really play the kind of house music that I like to make. So didn't have too many opportunities to do that. Now house has really taken off. And so I've just been focusing on playing the right rooms. And I would love to play more of sort of the festival market, you know, Breakaway Music Festival, EDC, sort of the bigger music venues of kind of that electronic scene. You know, I really like that scene. So.
Okay, well, if you need like a hype man or something, I'm your guy. I get up on the stage, rock it out. I don't know anything besides English, but I get up there and get the hypey wifey up there. Let's go.
I saw those touchdown dances. I think I could use one of those touchdown dances up there.
Hey, I got you, Brody. Let's go. I guess we can finally talk about Special Forces, because it was a pretty wild experience for both of us. But before we get there, man, I got to say, we had some moments, dog. I mean, we hit it off from the first moment we saw each other in the freaking cab. We wake up at 3 a.m., drive too dang far, sitting in a cab for another 2 hours. And I remember looking over across the parking lot in a cab, and I just hit you with one of these, like, what's up, bruh? And all I see is you just start chuckling. And right then and there, it's like, okay, we going to be all right.
It's funny is I remember that because I didn't know where anybody was from the show. It was just, and your cab pulled right in front of me. The look you gave me, I'll remember that forever. You just were like, you gave me the nod, and I was going, damn, all right, it's on. Let's go.
That nod was one of them nods where like, yeah, what's up, bro? This shit about to get real. I both know this.
I don't think we even knew really though. I think we thought we knew it was about to go down, but man, I think we were all pretty surprised at how incredibly difficult and challenging and how hard it is to portray that on the show. You know, you watch the show, or at least I've been watching the show back, and it's hard to really capture how incredibly difficult, because you know, there was so much more to a lot of those exercises that they're showing, and then and they're not able to show all of it because obviously they have to squeeze a lot of footage in, which I understand. You know, that's TV, but man, it was tough.
What would you say was the hardest thing you've done in life?
I would say absolutely. I would say this is one of the most challenging things that, you know, one of the more challenging things, if not the most. That I have done mentally, I think also, and physical. It was very, there was one time during one of the buds training things where I swear I felt like I was going to have a heart attack. I mean, like I was pushing my body to a limit where I was just like, whoa, I mean, you know, a little scared. Plus you're running off no sleep, and then you're doing this high intensity training on top of that. And your body's like, yo, wait a minute. Like, you know, it was a lot. So, but at the end of the day, man, like once in a lifetime experience, you know, I just knew it. And you got a lot of people there, a lot of safety. And I think, you know, what's crazy to think about is guys go through that training without any of that safety net, you know, hey, I'm going to take my band up and get out of here. Like that's scary. It's real scary.
Yeah. Yeah. When you found out that you were going to do it, did you start preparing? How much time did you have? Like,
yeah, I think that like ultimately, I try to just understand what I needed, you know, the headspace. I talked to some people, you know, some former Marines and things like that about certain ways to go through it and ways to go about it. You know, my fiance, her dad is in the Coast Guard. He's a retired Coast Guard. And you know, I think he's a captain, retired Coast Guard captain or something. He's big time in the Coast Guard after 35 years. Anyway, I talked to him and he just sort of told me to just be, you know, be very humble. Don't get too excited in your wins, you know. And I remember, I think you got a lot of trouble with that. But, you know, don't
pussyfooting.
Yeah, pussyfooting or whatever. But just like gloating and doing all that when you win, you know, or you do well on a challenge, just sort of be humble and move through and take it serious. You know, I think that's one of the things that looking back, you know, and I can just see my mindset and where I was. Like when they said, hey, we want you to show up every day and give 110%, I can honestly say that every single day of that entire show, I woke up and I gave my 110%, no matter what it was. Even if I felt that, you know, like, hey, I can ease off a little bit. Okay, you know, hey, maybe I got this one. This is a strong one for me. I'm gonna ease up. I never eased up. And even with that fitness, remember the integrity, or that's coming up. I can't get too much, but some good stuff's coming up where, you know, some fitness challenge where, you know, the fitness test, but like you didn't know what that was for. We could have maybe gone easy. We would have got placed in a better, you know, not as challenging. You know, they were kind of saying, hey, the more physically fit you are, the tougher this is going to be. So it's almost like you didn't want to do too good in the physical part because you're like, wait a minute, well, what are they going to make me do? When really it was something totally different. So, and I went, you know, hard there, and I think you did as well. I mean, I know you won that challenge, rightfully so.
Man, I do remember you said you went 100%. I remember like always seeing you in whenever we were doing near the top, you were always on a team that either completed the mission successfully or was that close to completing it. And I was just like, man, it's just like you just were always there. You just found a way. Like you're already a pretty athletic guy. And you can tell that right away, but you didn't specialize in athletics, you know, to the point where, you know, the gymnasts and the swimmers and the football players and the soccer players. But man, you put a strong effort every single time we went out there, and it was definitely noticeable. Now, I will say this. You looked very, very comfortable in the ocean and whatever it was, and I think you probably passed all those with flying stars. But going back to what I said, you look very, very comfortable. Do you think that gave you an edge and a sense of confidence every time we showed up to the water? Because I know I was like, God, not again.
Absolutely. I think that everybody, that's the greatest thing about the special forces and the military and all these things is that everybody has a strong suit. You know what I mean? Like some people are great in the water, but then they go critical thinking. And then, I know that I didn't do too well in a lot of, I didn't pass a lot of challenges. And there were some that I learned a lot about myself. Critical thinking, I was really hard for me. I have severe ADD. So trying to focus and do challenges under extreme stress and things going on was really, really hard for me. And I know that I just wasn't good. You saw Sensei Kerry Hart. I mean, he's over there. This guy, he's G.I. Joe. He's just out of control. He was so good. Kerry was great, and he's gonna, he's doing great on the show. But that was fun to watch him. But I think that everybody has a strong suit. And yes, the water did. I knew going into this that there was going to be a lot of water. I think they had mentioned something about it to me when in the meeting. So I knew that there was going to be water, and I did feel pretty confident and comfortable in the water exercises, which I do think for those, it helps a lot. And I think that honestly, like, they gave you too much crap, man. I mean, at the end of the day, like it's hard to be a leader when you're put into a situation where you don't want to be feeding them the wrong directions. You don't want to be yelling something out and it's the complete opposite thing of what you should be doing. So I understand that you were put in a sort of a difficult situation by being team leader in a situation like that where you just didn't know much about it. It's tough.
Yeah. And I was completely exposed, bro. Like we showed up. And I should have known, like when we start picking teams and they let me pick first, I was like, okay, I'm thinking strong, like pure strength. You got me who can run up and down a mountain or whatever. You got Cam who could probably carry just about anything in here. And you got Kayla who's arguably a fitness model. And then Christy who can just hold her own. I'm thinking, oh, we're about to blow this team out the water. And then we pull up to the water and I learned what we're doing in that Bowden excursion, when I was a leader, you're the leader, and just got crushed. Like watching that episode, I wanted to just sit there and cry because it was the way they produced it on top of like how well you were doing in your team and how you're leading to my style of leading. Like I've always, in my field of sport, I was always kind of taught to just make it happen. Go out there, practice hard, make plays, lead by example. But I had no clue how to lead by example, and I didn't even know what to say in that boat because I didn't grow up on boats. I didn't grow up in the water. I'm a land animal. You put me on land, I can climb, run, jump, all that stuff. But you put me in water, I was completely uncomfortable. And conversely, your team, for the most part, was completely comfortable in the water. You had a line of surfer. You have who surfs, owns boats. Who else? You had Carrie who can do every dang thing. And then you had, Kyla, who you guys could vocalize how to get her through it. So, it was really humbling for me, but it also taught me a lot on how I want to develop as a leader.
Absolutely. And I think what was so cool about those challenges were they didn't really care if you won or you lost or you killed it or you did terribly. I think it was the way you handled it, and I think that they really wanted to see how do you rebound? What did you learn something? Did you figure something out about yourself and how you sort of react in that adversity? And I think that, for you, and I think that one of your strong suits throughout the entire competition, everything was just how you kept the morale up. You're so good at getting everybody to laugh and feel good. And I think that that's so important, even in a time of when things are stressful, to make light of it and have fun with it. I think that adds such a tremendous value to, when in doing these sort of team exercises, is just to keep it light and keep it fun.
At the expense of getting my ass absolutely chewed out, I was like, all right, we're going to execute this mission, do the mission. But as soon as we're done with this mission, we're going to have fun. And we had so many moments early on, like, pew, 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 pew. Crushed the mission until I went pew, pew. And then next thing you know, number 9. What the hell was that? And I tried to like BS him and like what I was doing. Like I was imagining I was really in the jungle and, you know, they were trying to get me. So I was shooting them. Pop, 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 pop. That's not what we're doing. You're supposed to be quiet. And that's a fail. And I felt so bad after that because 1, I got hurt on that mission, jumping from the bridge in the pew pew. And 2, my actions were the reason why everyone else got punished. And everyone but me and Cam got punished. We had to sit there and watch it all, like, take these Bergens that were 30 pounds. They all of a sudden became 35 or 40 pounds after being soaking wet. And I just felt so bad. And I remember telling myself, man, I got to, like, stop being a goofball because I'm clearly missing it. And they probably think I'm a joke all the time. And I'm, you know, not. But there was a point to it. Like, I knew we were going to be in stressful situations, but I wanted people to feel like, okay, I can still be myself. We can kind of relax once we're done. But turns out that wasn't the case.
Yeah. I think your strength, though, you were really, you know, I think you had a lot of great missions. I mean, you killed it in a ton of the, you know, you were killing it, I thought. You know, I know the critical thinking, I think all of us on a couple of those. I think Sensei Carey was the only one. Golly. Can't spoil too much.
He's so composed. Is there something like, did something ever happen in these first, I guess, I don't know how you describe it, 2 episodes or 4 episodes, depends on how you watch it, that they didn't show that you wish they would have shown?
I mean, come on, dog. You know, in that boat challenge, the sinking boat, I did that in one breath. They didn't even show me getting in and out of that boat. Just
record timing too, bro.
I think that honestly, no, I mean, I think that they're doing their best. I think that there's a lot of moments. We know we live so much. I mean, we lived it every single day, and they were recording 24/7. So there's so many moments that I'm thinking of in my head that I wish, you know, they would air. But I think they're doing a great job. You know, so they're showing everything, and I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying watching it back.
Yeah. I mean, the whole experience is just like, absolutely nuts.
What about you? Is there something for you that you wanted them to show?
So far, I've got a bunch of moments I wish they would have shown. I wish they would have shown me going into the chicken coop.
Oh, the chicken!
I thought that was must-see TV for fidgeting.
But see, that's what I'm talking about. Like little moments like that you just. But I wish they did throw more in like that. You know, they're doing a great job, but there's just so many little moments. You know.
Yeah, I mean, I guess they briefly, you and I had another moment after the sinking boat challenge. I end up passing. I get to the water instead of like showboating, I just look up and smile at you.
I saw that,
and I remember seeing you laugh. And then I get over to the, you know, hey, you passed, but you gotta stop goofing off. And I'm like, geez, I just smiled. And so they were like, you know, it was kind of like what we call the NFL sometimes, the no fun league. Right. Just couldn't have fun, it felt like, unless you were in the barracks. And even in the barracks, I found out that you weren't supposed to have fun because they ended up using that against me.
Right. So it's all one big test, man. It's world's toughest test. You know, they're watching 24/7. And
it certainly was, by all means. Sure. I want to transition to like the personal growth and reflect on kind of your mindset. Do you have family or friends that are in the military?
I do have a couple friends that are in the military. Yes, I do. Both my grandparents, though, they served in World War II, and I come from a lineage of military background for sure.
Okay, that's awesome. So I'm assuming you already had the utmost appreciation for our men and women who serve our country, and to me, they're real life superheroes, and the sacrifices that they have made for us as individuals and as a country are need to be noted. But after being on the show, did your respect go up anymore? If so, why?
I mean, like you just said, I've always, that was one of the reasons why I agreed to do the show in the first place, was because of the amount of respect that I have. And I felt that it was almost my duty to at least go and try, you know, go see what it's all about. And yeah, I think that being, really immersing yourself and being in a situation where you can't talk to your family, for us, it was just a taste. We got 10 days of it. And these guys, when they're going away, they're going away for months at a time, getting to say one or, the quickest goodbye to your loved ones. And then you don't talk to them for a long time. And just the mental and physical strain that these men and women go through is it's unless you're kind of go and do it a little bit or really I always felt like I understood and really appreciated, but after doing it, it's definitely to another level now for sure.
Yeah, and it's almost things that you just won't even think about. Like it's just like a little bit, one percenters of like not having your bed and not having your clothes and not having, my Sonicare toothbrush and all those little one percenters kind of add up over time. And I feel like an idiot even mentioning it because our military go through so much more. And like we all knew that we were going to come back, whether it be 2 days, 10 days, whenever it was. We knew that we were going to come back home safely, maybe with a broken nose or a broken rib. But for the most part, we're going to come home. These men and women don't know when, if they're coming home. And as you continue to watch this season of Special Forces, you start to get even a deeper look into it, which makes me appreciate them so much more. Now, our DS, we had some badass DS. Between the four of them, they had to have pushing 100 years of Special Forces services in there. Is there anything that stood out to you about them as individuals, as soldiers, their personality?
I think that they're human beings, I think that I was lucky enough to catch these rare moments with Rudy and a couple of the other ones where just, you got to see that there's a real human being inside of there, these guys are killing machines. They really are. These guys are just the most fierce, craziest warriors, but at the same time, they're actually very soft and loving and kind. And, just to be able to see both those sides of those guys, get a glimpse of it was just, it's great. It's incredible. It makes you want to make it to the end just to get to hang out with them, just to it's almost like you want their approval, I think that or you want them to be proud of you. I think that there's nothing for me personally going through that experience was in the beginning, it's so intense and they're so, you're not used to that energy and they're not very nice and they are, they're really serious and they mean business. And I think that it really makes you want to just make them happy and to be proud of you. And when you see just like the tiniest bit of you doing a good job, right? And they can recognize it and they see it, the feeling you get when they're like, great job, great job, Golden. Isn't it just like, you're like, oh, it's unlike anything.
It's refreshing.
It's refreshing. You're like, I did something right.
It's almost like, okay. It's like, it gives you confidence. Like, oh, I can do this maybe.
Absolutely.
That's so cool to hear that. I know at times, for me, it felt like when I would do something right, it was like they were father figures. Like I was like, okay, I just made them happy. I feel good about that. I can build on that. It helped my confidence knowing that I had the support from them, which was key.
Absolutely, and just they were intimidating, man. It was frightening.
Bro, who was the most intimidating DS to you?
I think Billy probably, I think Billy was by far the most intimidating. Q is pretty intimidating too, Q and Billy.
The hammer.
But Q, I could see Q's soft, I could see his softness peeking through. I love it. I'm like, I could see he had a little softy.
Bro, I'm not going to lie to you. Q didn't really become human until after the show when I started talking to him because first impressions are everything. And my first interaction with Q was when they tossed us in the water and had to swim what felt like a quarter of a mile, and he's on the boat talking hella shit to me. And then once we got up there, me and Camera happened to be standing by each other, and he walks over and says, drop down and give me 25 and hold. And I'm like looking around like, but we didn't do anything. And so yes, staff, and we get down, do it, and 25 push-ups, okay, we can do that. But the holding afterwards was like your arms are completely shaking. And then he walks over and slowly says, you two supposed to be the strongest, mother effers in here, huh? We gonna see. And then he starts talking slow as we're holding the up position and the push up. Now, when I say get up, you get up and look straight. And we're like thinking, all right, any second now. But then he held it for another 10 to 15 seconds. And then he says, up. Arms are on fire. Just got punished for no apparent reason. And then right after that, we had to do like up downs or something else, all to make sure we didn't probably catch hypothermia because it was cold. Just come out the water. We had to keep our blood moving at all times. And, you know, this show does a really good job. It was produced very well, and they do a really good job at showing what we actually went through. But they missed so much stuff that happened, like how we end up getting to these missions. Right. Every single time we went to a mission, we had to hike with a 30-pound burden. Sometimes it was up a hill and you're jogging. Sometimes you were walking for a mile. Sometimes you're up high, down low, in creeks, over rocks, having to jump wire fences. There was just all types of stuff that you wish they would have shown a little bit more of that to like let people know that it wasn't just like, okay, we're at this new mission and here we go.
Yeah, it's totally, you know, that's kind of the television. It's tough. It's tough to be able to really get that to translate through the screen, you know, and I think that, you know, ultimately it's for us, you know, and I think it's obviously we want the viewer to enjoy the show and to watch it. But I think that I did that experience and I went and did it just for myself, you know, ultimately I've tried to explain it to people and be like, you know, it's really the gnarliest thing. And some people understand, but it's hard to really grasp how insanely challenging it was. And you nailed it on the head, you know?
Yeah, without a doubt. What do you think, did being there teach you anything about yourself?
I mean, yeah, I think that just what it taught me is that I'm stronger and gnarlier than I give myself credit for. I think like you know, even just more comfortable doing things than I thought I was. You know, for me, the bathroom situation, I was like, dude, I need my pride, you know, I like to go to my little zone, you know, get out of this, I got my little setup. It's nice. I got my, you know, my everything. I got my dojo.
Got my Charmin.
I got all, you know, and it's like, and I enjoy that, you know, that's my time right there.
Right.
And I feel like with this, I was like, damn, dude, like, I remember watching the second season. I'm like, man, did I got to go to the bathroom? Like, are they taking a shit right now talking? And I see them hanging out like girl, boy, just right next to each other, stall to stall, like shoulder to shoulder, just looking at each other. Yeah. And I'm like, dude, are they taking a crap right now? Is that how this is going to go down? So I kind of knew, and I was a little weirded out by it. I'm like, I don't know. And dude, I feel like by the third day, I'm like, hey, come on, can I get some help over here? Do you mind holding my toilet paper for me while I just over here and drop a deuce? Like the comfort level between all of the contestants, I think just after the first 3 days and how well you get to know each other, I was surprised at how well I was able to adapt to that and just the living situation. And I think that in the beginning, it's very tough and awkward. But I was surprised in myself on how I adapted to those sort of conditions, you know, relatively quickly.
Yeah.
And it became normal. It started to become normal. You know, I was actually, towards the end of that, I was actually getting sleep. You know, I was getting 4 hours of sleep a night, 3-4 hours of sleep, which on that course was a lot, you know, 3-4 hours was a good night's sleep.
There became kind of a routine eventually.
Right.
And that was one of the things I think we probably all struggle with is being thrown into a situation where we had no control and we didn't know what was going to happen next or what wasn't going to happen next. And that was once we kind of had a feel for how the days were going to go. We kind of could break it up a little bit. But those first 3 days that we've seen was just like, I don't know what's going to happen here. Right. Am I going to get to sleep for 6 hours, 5 hours, 8 hours? I just don't know. We're kind of like on edge.
I have a question for you.
Moments.
I have a question for you. Was there a moment in the show where, you know, you had reached a certain point or whatever, where you reach a certain point of the show or was it the whole time or where you're just like, look, there's nothing that they're going to put in front of me that I will not at least try, you know? Did you go into it at all going, okay, this is off limits. This is, did you have any of that or no? Or were you just like, whatever comes my way, I'm doing it?
Yeah, great question. For me, I went into it telling myself, it's not an option to go home. Right. Period. And I'm not going to let anything creep in my head that I'm going to go home, and I'm going to be nervous. I'm going to be scared, but it's mind over body, because knowing myself, if I didn't have that discussion with myself before I got there, I would have been talking my way into it. Like, you know how Stephen Baldwin at the first episode, he kind of talked himself into it. Look, I got another gig and there's not an option for me to be hurt. And he was like, I want you to tell me to leave, but I'm not going to leave. Right. He's kind of like right there. And so I didn't want that to happen to me. So I went into like, I am not going home unless I physically cannot do it. I also think, weirdly enough, I enjoyed the adrenaline pump of nonstop chaos. And like, it kind of takes me back to my childhood a little bit. And I learned that kind of there is like, I was kind of at my best, just always in chaos. And that's just how I grew up. And so I guess going back to what you asked was like, going home was never an option. And then what was the other part of that question?
Well, just, were you going into it? Like, was there anything that weren't, like, for me personally, I was tripping on claustrophobia. I was like, if they try to do this to me, I don't know how, if they try to throw me in a box and bury me or whatever it was, I was like, but I didn't even tell them because I was worried to tell them because then they would know and all this stuff. So I was just wondering if you had anything like that where you're like, if they try to throw this at me, I'm out.
Yeah, no. And if it would have been anything, it would have been something to do with water, but I just didn't know until I got there. But I just kind of told myself, look,
don't quit.
Maybe I'm a little scared of heights. Maybe I'm scared of being in a box. Maybe I'm scared of the water. But I know these folks not going to let me die out here. So I just kept telling myself, like, I'm looking down at this bridge like, man, if something goes wrong, it's a wrap for me. And so I'm like, okay, well, Lord, I might be coming to see you. But part of me is like, well, if something do happen, them Tate's going to own Fox, so we'll be all right.
Family's going to be good.
Yeah, we're going to be all right. Should they be flying up to heaven to see me in a G5?
G6.
Oh my gosh, amazing. That's too good.
That is too funny.
Would you do it again?
That's hard to say. I mean, there was so many moments of it that I loved, that I loved so much. And there were a lot of moments that were just freaking brutal. So I think that the mental aspect of it is something that I wouldn't really want to revisit, like obviously I can't talk about how far I went on the show and things like that, but there was some mental stuff. And I think that people will see as these episodes go on, there's some really tough mental challenges that I think that I wouldn't necessarily want to do those again. I don't think I really need to go through that again. I think that it was very beneficial for me to go and to go through that. But once having gone through that, it's not like all these people that love ayahuasca now, it's like they want to keep going back. They do the ayahuasca once. And I heard like back in when that stuff first came around, it was like, I'm going to do my ayahuasca trip to fix myself and then you're all good. I feel like now you got people on ayahuasca like every weekend. They're like going to Peru to do another one. I'm like, dude, how many of these ayahuasca trips do you need? So, and clearly it's good for their psyche or however, they're doing it. But I think this is not really like that. They want to know deep down, do you really want it? Which is interesting on how they try to figure that out, and it's brutal and it's not, the physical stuff though, like, that was a challenge and that was fun. I enjoyed all the physical challenges. I really did. I enjoyed like the helicopter stuff, anything, even the boat stuff, anything, all the challenges I loved, even the gas shit, the gas, I would have loved, we can't talk about the gas, but yeah, I think the challenges were great, but some of the mental, I don't know if I'd want to do that again. What about you?
For me, it was the hardest physically, emotionally, and mentally thing I've ever done in my entire life. And they just knew how to like push those buttons, you know, as time passed and when to do certain things. And it just, I really started to struggle with it. But I would also look around because I was so invested in like the personalities and the people. And I know, man, you you made it possible for me to keep going. Like the support I got from you, week on, day on, day out was special. The bond that we had, and so part of me, like, there's days I didn't feel like doing it. I didn't think I could do it, but there's also days where I'm like, man, I got to put my feelings aside because I got to do this for, Cam, Brody, Carrie, Krista, Trista, Allie, and the whole gang, because I felt like I was a light, but that's what I needed to stay at times. I needed the energy from you guys when I wasn't at my best. And I noticed that when I wasn't 100, you was going to step up and be 110 to give me the extra percent, and so on. And also with Cam, even though after this last season, I'm about ready to whoop his little ass the way they made him seem like, the way he was talking to me in that episode. I was like, all right, Cam, we're going to have to miss you, big dog. Nah, but Cam is my dog. Love him. And he has a different way of communicating.
It was funny for me to watch that episode and watch you and Cam in the heating room talking about how you want to call Caitlyn Jenner, and I was laughing at that. You're like, bro, you said dad, but you're like, yeah, he said dad. I mean, look, we can clear this up once and for all, because I feel like a lot of people sometimes they'll say that to people like, oh yeah, your mom, and I'm like, no. I have one mother, one father. Caitlyn is my dad. Caitlyn is now Caitlyn. That is Bruce's choice to become Caitlyn. She's entitled to do that, and that's what she is, and good for her. I support that 1,000%. But Caitlyn is my father, and Linda is my mother, and I will always have a mother and a father. But and Bruce was there for this was just sort of a recent thing. Bruce was my father my whole life. It wasn't there all the time, but it's all good. People have it much worse than I had it growing up, and I'm so grateful for the life that I live. And sometimes I watch this stuff and I'm like, dude, I sound like somebody who's just complaining about this, because they always want to pry at these things that are like, so tell me about your dad. Because everybody thinks it's this like really deep, hurtful thing. And to be completely honest, like I'm at such a good place in my life, and I feel so blessed of the father that David Foster was my stepdad growing up. We don't really talk about that much, but I mean, he was an incredible stepfather in the absence of Bruce, so I'm so lucky for that. And at the end of the day, Bruce was going through a lot, and Caitlyn, Bruce is now ultimately happier being Caitlyn. And that's, all you want is happiness for anybody, at least for me, that's all I want for people. So one mom, one dad, and Caitlyn, we got Linda, just life's good. You just gotta smile. We're just lucky to be alive and healthy, and got my beautiful family, and just keep it moving.
Bro, you have such a unique perspective on just life, and it's contagious to others, man. And I hope you continue just to be the best version of yourself, because it motivates me. It motivates other people who are around you, man. You just from top to bottom, the vibe we get from you and the positivity is special, and especially your outlook on life. I can only imagine like that situation with your pop it has been uncomfortable, has probably been sad, but I'm also assuming that some of these moments have been incredible, and worthwhile. And obviously we all have stuff we probably regret, wish we would have said, or wish we would have done, or not said, or not done. But I think it's all about how you progress and how you move forward. What's been done in the past is what's been done in the past, on how we were treated, how you were treated, and whatever situation is. But how do you move forward? How is your relationship with Caitlyn now?
It's great. I mean, that you just, you nailed it. It's if you hold on to that stuff, you're only going to affect yourself. That's only going to hurt you. If you hold on to the resentment and you think about that, like life's too short, it really is. And so, time is one of the things that's just fleeting so fast for all of us. And it's, I don't know how much time I will get to have getting to know Caitlyn better and to, have a relationship. And I think that genuinely, Caitlyn feels bad. I think that she's had over the past couple of years, she has sincerely apologized to me, and look, and I wasn't even asking for that. I just, I deep down it would have been nice, but I was still gonna try to have a relationship regardless of that. I didn't need the apology, but when she, stepped up and did it, felt great. Just knowing that she did regret that time in her life where she sort of neglected one of, her kids and raised another family, which, and I look back and I just, like I said, I'm so lucky. I had a great life. I felt a little bit abandoned by my father, but David Foster was incredible, my stepdad. And so, I think that where you go is from here, it's how do we build on this relationship now? Without,
Absolutely. And
I feel like I'm a father myself now, and I have my own family, and, I know how I'm going to do things, and I'm confident in my family and my household. And so I just want to make that relationship better and get to know her better over the years and build on that.
Absolutely, man.
Because time's too short. We got times.
Dude, as we get older, it's one thing we're not getting back is time, and it's one thing we probably wish we had more of is time. And so what I'm hearing is that although a lot of stuff has happened in the past, you're not letting it consume you. Because if you let it consume you, it just eats away at you. It causes more resentment, and next thing you know, like, it's taking up way too much time in your life. Totally. And it's just not a good way to think. I mean, I know sometimes when I get these thoughts in my head, the worst thing I can do is just sit there and feel bad for myself. Instead, we made choices, now we got to move forward. So, and that's what I hear from you. Like, you seem like you are so happy with where you are with yourself, with Caitlin, with your beautiful family, with Tia and sweet honey. And so I'm so happy for you. But I do got one question for you. All right. I'm a huge golfer. Do you golf at all?
I dabble.
Okay. So we're going to assume that you're a huge golfer.
Okay.
And we know Caitlin is a huge golfer. You got $1 million match against Caitlin. Are you letting Caitlin play the ladies' tees?
Hell no. And Caitlin.
Good.
Hell no.
You got to come on back there with me.
Oh, yeah. Caitlin's got to play. No. But what's funny is Caitlin would never, I don't think Caitlin's ever played from the ladies' tees. I think that Caitlin is a huge advocate of no biological, male or female in the pose, so she's a huge advocate of that. She doesn't want biological, because what Caitlin did in the Olympics was, Caitlin was a biological male. And so Caitlin competed in the male Olympics,
right.
And ended up winning. And I think that, biologically that's the right thing to do, because I do think that there is an unfair advantage there for sure. So I think she's on the right side of the platform there for sure.
I completely agree with you, and I think if we have any questions in regards to this, we have someone who's living it in sport, who was in sport, and who knows the emotions attached to it. If you have any questions, go to Caitlin, because she can tell you how most people feel. She could probably tell you the fairness or unfairness, and then we can take all this politics out of it, right? Just
100%.
Put it on the board of all this stuff.
Yeah, it's I just think that. It's a tough topic for a lot of people, as it is, and I think that, Caitlin, has her point. Everybody's got I try to stay out of politics too, man. I end up getting so wrapped up and frustrated. And sometimes I just try to tune it out and focus on what I do have control over, because a lot of these things you don't have control over.
Yeah.
And it'll drive you crazy.
Nearing the end. We're nearing the end, and I appreciate all the time, but I'm going to have to pepper you with a few more questions and have a little fun, and then we'll wrap it up and you get back to your island life. It's funny that you were on time, and I was on island time today, so appreciate you, brother. I got a few questions. All right, so if you had to compete against one of DS in a physical challenge, what would you choose? Who would you choose? And why?
Oh gosh. I don't know. I mean, God, that's it would definitely be water. It'd be something with water. I'd like to see Q. I'd like to, I was looking at Q in the beehive in the pool in the dunk tank. I remember he had his little floaties on,
with
Q
a noodle.
He had a little noodle going. He was right, he was having. I'd like to maybe do some, and with the box. I don't know if you remember, but Q took a breath. They didn't show that on the episode, but Q in his practice, he took a breath, and I did that one breath. So it might have to be Q and something to do with the water. maybe swimming, maybe getting to the chopper. Maybe I get to the chopper faster. I don't know. I think I want to take on Q in, some sort of water training exercise. I would like to check that out.
I support that 100%. And if I'm just doing live odds of you versus Q in any water, it's got to be Brody Jenner at minus 800.
I think Q, all that muscle, it's going to weigh him down. He's going to sink quick. I got some of that dad meat on me, bro, where I can float. Just keep my.
On every front, you will crush him in the water. You're gonna crush him because he's shorter in stature, and so his legs ain't pumping and arms ain't swimming like how yours are. Two, as we all know, black people, we don't belong in water. Period. That's a cold, hard fact. And if you need any more proof, I'll give you proof right now. All right. We've all watched the Olympics over and over and over. How many times have you seen a black person in a pool in any Olympic butterfly, medley, freestyle? You don't see it, right? So we're not meant for the water, all right? So you picked well, and you would have been $1 million richer, buddy.
Yeah, see? I knew how to pick them.
Oh, all right. So now we're going to transition to the really fun stuff, all right? I'm gonna hit you with a fun rapid fire series, but first I'm gonna hit you with if you could name 3 celebrities to come on to Special Forces World's Toughest Test, who would you pick? Why would you pick them, and how do you think they would do?
I mean, one of the first people I thought of was Spencer Pratt. I'd love to see Spencer on there. I know he's always wanted to do that. He also has a lot of respect and appreciation for the military, and very similar to me. This guy's got all kinds of guns, and I think Spencer would be a great one. And he really wants to do it. I'd like my brother to try it for sure. My brother would be a good one. I think that he would think it was challenging for sure, but I think that he would kick ass. So I think that he would sort of get the same benefits that I got out of it for sure. And let's see, another celebrity. Let's see. God, I'm so bad with the celebrities. Who else would I want? Maybe like, I want to see if somebody maybe not Steven Seagal, but somebody. I want to see somebody who's in the movies for being, maybe like a Tom Cruise. Let's see Tom Cruise. I want to see him go through this course. Let's see what you got, Tommy boy. Mr. Mission Impossible. And I feel like Tom is one of those guys always doing his own stunts. And I want to see how Tom would do in this. I'd be curious. I would be really curious to know.
Okay, so you picking people for the most part that you think would do well for the most part. And so to go on the opposite side of that, who would be a celebrity that would be great for TV but would probably get absolutely crushed and have no chance at making it past day 3? But you just love to see them on TV and the struggle of it and
wouldn't make it past day 3. God, it's kind of calling somebody out, dude. I don't know. Oh, let's see. I was gonna say I don't want to say this because I like him. He's whatever but.
No offense.
Let me see. Let me think about this. Who would just get crushed? I mean, a lot of people get crushed, man. This is I don't really know who would just know. I don't think anybody would just breeze through it.
You're not going to hurt anybody's feelings.
I feel like I
promise.
am. I promise. Let me think. I feel like... I mean,
any of your homie DJs?
Lauren Conrad.
Lauren Conrad. Okay.
I don't think she would. I love her to death, but I don't think she would last very long.
Okay. All right. Fair statement. All right. And our last segment.
I love you, Lauren, but it's tough. I don't know. I just don't know.
We'll make sure we put that part in there. Like, who I think you'll get crushed, but
I think you'll get crushed, but Lauren, I love you.
And you would try hard. Okay. Fair enough. But I don't know. All right, we're going to wrap it up with a little rapid fire session. And some of these I might have already asked you, but we'll just revisit them. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Let's do it. Would you do Special Forces again?
No.
Okay. What's one type of mission you wish you would have done?
More firearms training.
Pew, pew. Which mission on the first 2 or 4 episodes was the most challenging for you?
I would say one of the hardest things that I did first few days was the buds training. I think that the buds training was extremely difficult. You can't really tell on the show how insanely difficult that was, but the buds training was physically, especially with the no sleep, and having to go through that was really difficult. Very difficult.
Yeah, that was a beast.
Yeah.
Who was your best bud on the show?
Dude, I feel like
you had a couple, I would say.
I feel like it's between you and Carrie. I feel like me and you had a very special bond. Carrie and I've known Carrie though for a lot longer. So like Carrie and I kind of went in to the show and we had a past friendship. We had known each other for years. I've known Carrie 15 years plus. So Carrie I knew coming in, but I feel like me and you, man, had a very special bond straight out of the get-go. You helped me go so far. In the show, I think that your morale and how you made me laugh the whole time. And like, I felt like I really needed your energy there. So I appreciate having you there. And I think we had a very special bond for sure.
Oh, thanks, pal. And I think
For
people will probably get to see our bond
for sure
moving forward for a little bit.
I was
longer.
glad. I was glad to have you around for sure.
Even with the hurt rib. Ooh.
I know. I was worried that. Yeah, I know. I'm glad they didn't play it up too much though. How much it actually really hurt.
I know, right?
Yeah.
Who was your favorite DS?
I swear, I know this sounds crazy, but I swear I like all of them. I think that each one of them has a very different, unique character. They're just like, Billy is so interesting. He reminds me a lot of my stepdad, David Foster.
Mm-hmm.
They have this very similar type of humor and energy, and I really respect him. I know he's done, countless amounts of tours, and these guys are the best of the best. So I really admire them all, and I think that they're all incredible human beings, just in their different ways. So I don't really have one favorite. I really enjoy all of them.
Wow, you're so good at this rapid fire questioning, Bob.
I do though.
Let me tell you, this is your thing. Crushing it. Oh my gosh.
That's amazing.
What was your favorite food for breakfast or dinner that we had, if there was any?
I feel like we had some sort of pasta, the meatball pasta. We had like spaghetti and meatballs one night or something. That's just, oof. Remember I ate like
that was
5
probably
of
as good as it got, but we didn't have Parmesan cheese. Dang it.
I know, but it was good. But it was good.
Is there any quote that stands out to you that the DS shared?
Oh, what was that?
That you remember?
Damn, it's been so long now. There was a really good one that I was remembering for a while. The adapt. What was it? The
Uda?
Yeah, what is it? Uda. Yeah. It was
observe, orient, decide, and
act. Yeah, observe, orient, decide, act. Uda.
Yeah,
I remember
that was a good one.
I was going through the whole show, like while I was in it, just like doing that, you know what I mean? Really replaying that over and over for sure.
Is there a mission on the first few days that you would never do again, even for $1 million?
No, I would have done.
You were like a little fish in the water.
Yeah.
You little rascal. So jealous. All right, Brody, you've been amazing. I'm so thankful you came on, and I promise you I'm gonna get you out of here, but then I think of something else. I just think of something else. When we were milling, That match was pretty intense there. I thought Kerry was beating that head in, and then you kind of came alive, and I thought you flipped the script, and you were bump, 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 bump. I thought it was a close one. I think ultimately you said they decided on Kerry as a winner, but how'd you feel about that when they showed it on TV?
That's like the first time I've ever sparred doing anything like that, and I really enjoyed it. It was fun. I think Kerry and I both got some good shots. Kerry got me with one, I don't know if they showed it, but straight down the middle that just, rattled me good. He was the one bleeding. I wasn't bleeding, so they ultimately gave him the nod. But Kerry was tough, and I think we had a good fight. It was like a very sort of fair, fun. He got some good shots. I got a couple good shots. I think all in all, it was a good, fair fight.
Oh, I love it. All right.
And then you just took poor.
I feel so bad, bro. I feel so bad. I texted him the other day, was like, man, I am so sorry again. But gosh, why did they do that? Part of me would have rather had fought Cam, because I feel like I would have made it out of it okay. He probably would have won because he's just so much bigger. And then part of me was glad I wasn't fighting Cam. It was one of those situations where for the greater good of the people,
I think that
he has no business fighting Nathan.
I think it was tough between you, me, and Kerry, because I think that you, me, and Kerry are all on a similar level of I think toughness. I think it could have went either way as far as you being teamed up with Kerry or me or this. So then but obviously because Kerry and I were friends before that, they were just we got to put these two against each other. I knew that was coming, and then it left a situation for you where it's well, who's going to team up with you? And at the end of the day, there was really nobody. They had to pick Landon because there was just nobody else that was your size and kind of, I would say, fair, right? I mean,
tough draw for the kid.
Yeah, I know. Tough draw for the kid. That's how it goes.
All right, buddy. Dude, thank you so much again. I'm going to let you get back to that beautiful family of yours, and I'm sure it's, it's about time to go shred it out in the ocean.
No, I got a torn MCL.
Oh. All right, we're going to have you back on to talk about that. But I'll be praying for you, brother. Thank you so much for your time. I miss you. I love you. And thank you so much for being a light.
Love you, brother. Miss you. I'll see you soon.
Love you too, buddy.
Peace.
Later.